talk about the beautiful business of milk today. Yeah, yeah. I got milk. Let's talk about milk. Oh yeah, baby, let's talk about the beautiful business of milk today.
This episode of Got Milk is sponsored by Shunya Agritech, the folks revolutionizing cattle nutrition with hydroponic green fodder. Visit their website at shunya.live for more details or download the Shunya app from Play Store or App Store.
All right, ready for a deep dive. Today, we're tackling dairy farming. We've got this research paper, just came out in January 2024. It's a case study from the International Research Journal on Advanced Engineering and Management.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. A&D. We've got some seriously awesome links about an actual dairy farm in India. We're going way beyond those, those pretty pictures of cows in a field, right? We're getting into the real deal, the nitty-gritty of running one of these places.
Yeah, and you know what makes this deep dive extra interesting? It's all based on a real field trip. A bunch of students got to experience this dairy farm firsthand. We're basically taking you along with them.
Oh, nice. Like a virtual field trip, right? So where are we headed? Give us the destination.
Okay, picture this. We're sending you straight to Sarah Dairy Farm. It's in Nampally, Hyderabad, India.
India. Interesting.
Right. You might be thinking, why India?
Yeah, what?
Well, India is like a total dairy powerhouse. They're not only one of the world's biggest milk producers, but they're the biggest consumer of milk and all things dairy, too.
Huh. I never realized that about India. That's pretty significant.
Oh, it's huge. So getting a glimpse into a dairy farm there, it gives us some serious insight, right? It's like a window into a giant chunk of the whole global food system.
That's a really good point. So tell me about this Sarah Dairy Farm. What's the setup? Is it a small, family thing, or is it a bigger operation?
Sarah Dairy is definitely large scale. They've got 40 cows, and they're producing, get this, 3 quintals of milk every single day.
3 quintals. What's a quintal again?
Think 100 kilograms. So we're talking about 300 kilograms of milk every day.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot of milk. What do they do with all of it? Sell it to some big processing plant or?
Here's what's interesting about Sarah Dairy. They're direct to consumer. No middleman, none of that. Just fresh milk, straight from the farm to their customers.
Wow, that's a pretty unique model. Okay, this is shaping up to be a really cool deep dive. So we've got a large-scale dairy farm in India, a major dairy consuming country, and they're cutting out the middleman. I'm definitely intrigued. Let's get into the daily routine, right? Imagine we're part of that student group. We just rolled up to Sarah Dairy Farm, ready to see what a day in the life looks like.
All right, picture this. You get off the bus and you're hit with that fresh, that fresh country air. You see the cows, the barns. What do you think you'd see first?
Well, I mean, it's easy to picture those cows just roaming free in some giant field, but realistically, I bet it's a lot more structured than that, especially on a farm this size.
Yeah, you're right on the money. There's definitely more to it. The paper mentions they've got specific cattle housing. That's pretty standard, especially on larger farms. It's all about safety and, having a controlled environment for the cows.
Right. Makes sense. Keeping 40 cows healthy, safe, that takes some planning.
Oh, for sure.
So what's the daily routine like for these cows? Take us through a typical day.
Well, the paper emphasizes the importance of routine. And it all starts with, you guessed it, feeding. To make high-quality milk, those cows need a balanced diet.
I'm guessing it's not just a pile of hay, right?
Nope, it's way more scientific than that. They've got specific feed and nutrition plans designed to meet each cow's needs.
Interesting. So we're talking, what, hay, grains, maybe some supplements?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so after breakfast, what's next? Cow spa day.
Not quite a spa day, but definitely essential. Watering. Cows need a ton of water, especially when they're producing milk. So the farmer's got to make sure they've got a constant supply, fresh, clean water.
Right, gotta stay hydrated. And then I bet a big part of the day is keeping everything clean, right?
You got it. Cleanliness is key. Keeping those cows and their living spaces clean. It's all about hygiene and preventing disease.
Yeah, I can imagine those students saw firsthand just how much work goes into that. It's starting to sound like running this farm is no joke.
It's definitely not a walk in the park.
But of course, all of this leads up to the main event, milking time.
Oh.
So tell us, what's that process like at Sarah Dairy Farm?
Well, they've got a dedicated milking parlor. It's a specific area they bring the cows in for milking, usually twice a day.
I'm picturing like a high-tech milking setup. Does the paper describe the equipment?
They don't go into super detail about the equipment itself, but they really emphasize hygiene during milking. So they're probably using some modern milking machines designed for sanitation and efficiency.
So after the cows are milked, where does all that fresh milk go?
Remember, Surrey Dairy is all about that direct-to-consumer approach. So they process and package it right there on the farm.
All right, now we're talking. From the cow to the bottle, all in one place.
Exactly.
This is getting really interesting.
Right. Stay tuned as we keep going deeper into Surrey Dairy Farm.
All right, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Back again for more dairy deep dive. We're tracking that milk's journey from the cow to your glass, no detours.
All right, love it. We've seen the cows, the milking parlor, the whole farm routine. Now it's time to see how Sarah Dairy turns all that raw milk into the final product.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, they handle everything themselves right there on the farm. They're not just milk producers, they're milk processors too.
That's right. So walk me through it. What are the steps? Does it just go straight from the cow to the bottle?
Well, not quite. The paper highlights this whole milk collection and processing stage. First, they collect the milk, obviously, from the milking parlor.
I'm picturing someone running around with like big steaming buckets of milk.
Probably not buckets. They probably have a more modern system, maybe pipelines, that transport the milk directly from the milking machines to a big storage tank.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Much more efficient and cleaner, I bet.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so the milk's in the tank. What happens next?
Now comes a super important step, pasteurization. That's how they make sure the milk is safe to drink. Eliminates any harmful bacteria.
Pasteurization, that rings a bell from like way back in science class. How does that work again?
Basically, they heat the milk up to a specific temperature for a set amount of time. That kills off any bad bacteria without messing with the flavor or the nutrition.
Okay, now I remember. And yeah, I'm definitely grateful for pasteurization. What's next? Bottling time.
Almost. But first, they probably do some quality control checks. The paper mentions making sure they're complying with regulations, so they're probably testing the milk for things like fat content and purity, making sure it's all good.
Right, gotta make sure it's top notch before it goes out.
Exactly. Sarah Dairy really takes pride in their product. They're not messing around.
I like that. Okay, so the milk is pasteurized, it's been checked, given the green light. Now it's finally bottling time, right?
Yep, you got it. They probably have an on-site bottling machine, fills and seals those bottles, ready to go.
And since they're direct to consumer, I'm guessing those bottles are heading straight out to local customers.
You got it. No long shipping journeys, no middlemen, none of that. Just fresh, local milk, farm to table.
That's pretty cool. It's amazing to see how much care and attention goes into every step, from the cows to the milking to the processing and packaging.
Yeah, it really highlights how complex this whole industry is.
Yeah.
It's not just cows and milk. It's science, technology, a whole lot of hard work.
Speaking of hard work, the research paper doesn't just focus on the good stuff. It also talks about the challenges dairy farms are facing in India and globally.
Right. Dairy farming, like any agricultural industry, has its hurdles.
So what are some of the biggest challenges they pointed out?
Well, one of the biggest is low productivity per animal, meaning the average amount of milk each cow produces is not as high as it could be.
I'm curious, why is that such a big deal? Wouldn't fewer cows just mean less work for the farmers?
Well, it's not that simple. The demand for milk, for dairy, it's growing all the time worldwide. So if productivity is low, you need more cows to meet that demand, which means more resources, more land, potentially higher costs for the farm.
Okay, I see. It's a balancing act, meeting the demand for milk but doing it efficiently and sustainably.
Exactly. And that brings us to another challenge highlighted in the paper. Access to affordable, high-quality feed. We were talking about those specific diets for the cows. Well, getting consistent access to good quality feed at a price the farm can afford. It's tough. It's a constant struggle.
Wow, it sounds like there's a lot of pressure on dairy farms these days. Any good news on the horizon? Solutions to these challenges?
There's definitely hope. The paper points to innovation, especially technology and sustainable practices. That's where things get really exciting.
All right, I'm all ears. What kind of tech could help farms like Sarah Dairy, and what can they do to be more sustainable?
Those are great questions. And that's exactly what we'll dive into in the final part of our dairy deep dive.
And we're back, ready to wrap up our exploration of the dairy world. We've seen the inner workings of a real farm, and we've talked about the challenges. But now, Let's talk solutions. What about those innovations, especially in tech and sustainable practices? What's going to make a difference?
Yeah, for sure. One area that's already making waves is precision dairy farming. Think sensors, data analysis, even automation, all working together to optimize, all those different parts of running a farm.
Okay, I'm listening. What does that actually look like on a farm? Are we talking like robot cows?
Haha, not quite robots. But
Right.
imagine sensors that track each cow, their activity, their health, even how much milk they're producing, all in real time.
Wow, that's pretty high tech.
It is. And then they use that data to create customized feeding plans for each cow. They can even spot potential health problems before they become serious.
So it's like each cow gets her own personalized plan.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. Are there any downsides to all this tech?
Well, of course, there's the initial cost, right? These technologies can be expensive to implement, especially for smaller farms. And there's a learning curve for sure. Farmers need training to use and understand all that data.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it sounds like the benefits could be huge. What about sustainability? Can technology help make dairy farming more environmentally friendly?
Absolutely. Sustainability is a big focus, and technology can play a huge role. One really promising area is renewable energy. More and more farms are using solar panels, wind turbines, things like that, to power their whole operation. Less reliance on fossil fuels.
That seems like such a smart move. I mean, farms have so much access to, sun and wind.
Right. It's a no-brainer.
What else? Are there other ways they're using tech for sustainability?
Oh, definitely. Manure management's a big issue for dairy farms. But now there are new technologies to process that manure, turn it into biogas or fertilizer, reduces the environmental impact, and can even generate some extra income for the farm.
Wow, so it's a win-win for the farm and for the environment.
Exactly. But it's not all about fancy technology. Sometimes simpler changes in practices can make a big impact too, like rotational grazing, moving the cows to different pastures regularly. Simple, but it helps the soil, reduces the need for chemical fertilizers.
It's great to see so much innovation happening in the dairy industry. It sounds like people are really committed to finding solutions that are good for the farms and the planet.
For sure. And it's a global effort. What Sura Dairy is facing in India is the same stuff dairy farms are dealing with all over the world.
Right, and the paper even included some links about dairy in other countries. Dairy Farmers of America, the Holstein Association USA, Dairy NZ. It makes you realize how much this industry varies from place to place.
Yeah, and it reminds us we're all part of this big interconnected food system. Our choices as consumers, what our governments do, the innovations that come from scientists and farmers, it all matters.
Totally. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. I hope this deep dive has given everyone a new appreciation for what goes into that milk we drink every day.
Me too.
If you're interested in learning more, we've got those links from the paper down in the show notes. There's always more to explore. And that's a wrap on today's deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. And maybe pour yourself a glass of milk in honor of all those hardworking farmers out there.
Cheers to that fun.